Radical Islamists target minorities. Homes torched, Hasina supporters killed. Desperate Bangladesh Hindus seek refuge. Criminals escape jails, reach India border. Indian security forces on high alert. Violence spikes in crisis hit Bangladesh. Bangladesh on the edge.
Sheikh Hasina continues to be in India, but the implosion of Bangladesh is only escalating. The new interim chief of the new government, Mohammad Yunus, has just landed in Bangladesh. The new interim government will be sworn in just a couple of hours from now. But is Bangladesh a ticking time bomb? We're going to talk about that and much more right here on 5 Live. Thanks for being with me. I'm Shiv. Viewer, whenever there is any conflict, whenever there is any implosion of the kind that we're seeing take place in Bangladesh, there is always a period that is called the fog of war. A brief period when it becomes very difficult to confirm claims or counterclaims. There is usually a great deal of misinformation, there's a great deal of fake news, there's a great deal of attempts to divert and set certain political agendas. One particular piece of information that has been from the outset denied by a certain denier brigade here in India is the attacks on Hindus. Even in Bangladesh, where Hindus are, of course, the leading minority, attacks on Hindus have been not only reported in the Bangladesh media, not only acknowledged by religious councils, including the Bangladesh Buddhist Hindu Religious Unity Council, but also acknowledged by Bangladesh's new rulers themselves. Mohammad Yunus, who becomes very shortly the new chief of the interim government of Bangladesh, in his first comment when he met students was, "I will leave Bangladesh if minority Hindus are attacked. I have no place in this country if such attacks will continue." Even the Jamaat-e-Islami, which is known to be a proxy of Pakistani forces, has issued a statement saying attacks on minorities are unacceptable. While all of Bangladesh, whether it is the government, whether it is the military, whether it is the new political system, whether it is the students, whether it is the media, acknowledge that attacks are taking place on Hindus and Hindu minorities in that country, an entire brigade of all is well fact-checkers and others in India, both from the media, both from the political system, are busy investing their energies saying, "Kuch nahi hua." Nothing has happened. It's all fake news. It's true. There is a great deal of misinformation. There are pieces of fake news. But the amount of energy being invested in whitewashing these crimes, making it seem like no attacks have taken place, that these 54 attacks being reported in Bangladesh are complete rubbish, an attempt to set some kind of a Hindu-Muslim agenda in what is ultimately civil unrest in Bangladesh, is perhaps the most insidious whitewashing of crimes. Are they trying to say these crimes simply have not happened? Are they saying by posting pictures of unity councils, as it were, standing around the homes of Hindus, are there because nobody really threatens those Hindus? Are they trying to say that the attacks on minority Hindus in Bangladesh should not be reported because only a handful, as they claim, have actually happened, and that is not the real story? Remember, these are the same brigades that are cheering on the kind of violence that are taking place. Political opponents are being killed. Remember, it's not just minority Hindus. 21 at last count of the Awami League of Sheikh Hasina people have been hunted down and killed, according to Bangladeshi press reports. Many more people are scared and vulnerable about attacks continuing. Many want to leave. There are reports of Hindus trying to cross over between Bangladesh and West Bengal. The BSF is on high alert. India's External Affairs Minister has acknowledged the attacks on minorities. The Israeli ambassador has talked about them. We've even seen the External Affairs Ministry today in a press conference formally acknowledge that there is something to be very, very concerned about. And yet, an entire ecosystem from fact-checkers to those who wish to be perhaps in a future part of the system are busy saying, all is well, kuch nahi hua, ye sab fake hai, ye sab fact-check hai. There's nothing happening at all. My submission to you, viewer, is this. Of course there is fake news, of course there is misinformation, as there always is in civil war. But I would submit that those spreading fact checks to assume or to basically give the impression that nothing has happened at all, that there are no attacks on minority Hindus at all in Bangladesh, are just as guilty as those spreading fake news. Think about that for a minute.
400 dead and counting. Bangladesh remains on the edge days after protest against Sheikh Hasina gripped the country. The long spell of violence saw temples being burned, houses of Hindus being attacked and looted. Many Bangladeshi Hindus are trying to enter India from the border. Security agencies have been issued an alert warning that terrorists and other criminals who have escaped from Bangladeshi jails may try to enter India.
The instability in a neighborhood is another cause of concern for us. A strong armed force backed by a strong defense industrial sector is hence a sine qua non for the nation state. For a large nation like India, with plenitude of security problems, it cannot remain dependent on foreign imports for war fighting and sustenance, especially in an environment where the global security environment is in a state of flux and we have live borders at hand.
Meanwhile, mural paintings of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman were whitewashed in Bangladesh. With the new interim government led by Nobel-winning economist Muhammad Yunus taking shape, Bangladesh is hoping for normalcy.
এই স্বাধীনতাটা আমাদেরকে রক্ষা করতেই হবে শুধু রক্ষা করেন এই স্বাধীনতার সুফল প্রতিটি মানুষের ঘরে পৌঁছাতে হবে তা না হলে স্বাধীনতার কোনো দাম নেই এই স্বাধীনতাকে পৌঁছানো হলে আমাদের জগৎ আমাদের যে প্রতিজ্ঞা যে আমাদেরকে এটা করতে হবে ঘরে ঘরে পৌঁছাতে হবে মানুষ যেন জানে যে বাংলাদেশ স্বাধীন হওয়ার অর্থ হলো তার নিজের পরিবর্তন ব্যক্তির পরিবর্তন সুযোগের পরিবর্তন তার ছেলেমেয়ের ভবিষ্যতের পরিবর্তন এটা যেন প্রত্যেকে বুঝে নেয়
Former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, who fled to India, remains at the Hindon Air Base near Delhi. Her son, Sajib Wazir Joy, who had earlier ruled out Hasina's return to Bangladesh, has now backtracked.
আমরা বলেছিলাম যে আমার পরিবার আর রাজনীতি করবে না তবে আমাদের নেতাকর্মীর উপর যেভাবে হামলা হচ্ছে এই পরিস্থিতিতে আমরা হাল ছেড়ে দিতে পারি না
The new government headed by Yunus has a big challenge ahead. First, it has to bring the mindless violence against Awami League members and Hindus and then push ahead with plans for economic revival. Bureau Report, India Today.
And we've got some breaking news coming in now. 4 days on, and Sheikh Hasina continues to be in India with no real forecast on when she will be leaving. The External Affairs Ministry says there is no update on the former Bangladesh Prime Minister's next move or next plan. The MEA has also spoken out on anti-Hindu violence in Bangladesh, saying that the Bangladesh's new government, the interim government that is going to be sworn in very shortly, must ensure the safety of all. Take a look at what the External Affairs Ministry spokesperson has just said.
With regard to the status of minorities, there are also reports that various initiatives have been taken by groups and organizations to ensure the protection and well-being of the minorities. I would like to reiterate what External Affairs Minister had said in the Parliament. We welcome these steps, but will naturally remain deeply concerned till law and order is visibly restored. Having said that, we also want to make it clear that it is the responsibility of every government to ensure well-being of all its citizens. We hope for early restoration of law and order in Bangladesh. This is both in the interest of the country itself and for the region as a whole, or the larger region as a whole. We had informed, External Affairs Minister in his statement had informed that there are 19,000 people thereabout in Bangladesh, of which 9,000 thereabout are students, of which majority of them have come back. There are Indians who want to come back, and there our High Commission is assisting them with support. Obviously, the airlines are operating, as you know. There are several people have reached out to our High Commission and Assistant High Commission for support, and that assistance is being rendered to Indian nationals, and several people have also come back. We hope that the security situation in the country improves soon so that normal life can begin, and it will be easy for us, our High Commission and our Assistant High Commission, also to begin their normal functioning. Insofar as the question of the Indian staffers working in our High Commission is concerned, we have only our non-essential Indian staff members and their family members have come back. And given the situation, this is also the situation with other embassies. They have also pulled back their non-essential or their own people. We hope that normalcy returns so that we can, our High Commission and Assistant High Commission, they can begin the normal work as soon as possible.
And here's what External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar has said a couple of days ago on this very issue. Here's what he said.
What was particularly worrying was that minorities, their businesses and temples also came under attack at multiple locations. The full extent of this is still not clear.
So all of that is happening in Bangladesh right now, despite all the denials being issued by an ecosystem here in India. But all eyes are also on ousted Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. She is on Indian soil and has been for the last 4 days with no real clarity on where she's going to go next, or even if she's going to go anywhere. Today is Hasina's 4th day in India. She landed here on the 5th of August as she fled to save her life in violence hit Dhaka. Her own house was completely overrun by protesters. Sources tell India today that Sheikh Hasina's associates who'd come along with her in that military aircraft that landed at the Hindon Air Base on August the 5th have now started moving out of India to new destinations. They can't apparently go back to Bangladesh for fear of their lives. The members of the protocol office deployed with the Bangladeshi entourage helped them to buy clothes and daily use items from nearby locations near the Hindon Air Base, which falls in the Ghaziabad district of Uttar Pradesh. The two sides have discussed present and future plans of the ousted Prime Minister. Sheikh Hasina, remember, is seeking political asylum in Europe, the UK, and India has made arrangements for her short as well as long-term stay. How long is not clear at this point of time. Meanwhile, Sheikh Hasina's son has said she will be back in Bangladesh once democracy is restored.
External Affairs Minister has already explained the approval for former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina to come to India was given at a short notice. The situation, as you know, is still evolving as far as Bangladesh is concerned. It would not be appropriate for me to comment on her plans.
I want to break down for you in great detail now, because we've only now come to understand what the exit of Sheikh Hasina from Dhaka actually looked like. Look at what our team has put together to give you a sense of just how dramatic and how close a call Sheikh Hasina had when she was hounded out and had to hightail it out of Dhaka and into India. 10 o'clock in the morning, the Ghana Bhavan, that's the Prime Minister's residence, there was reports of fresh violence right outside. This is when the panic buttons started. This is what the house of the Prime Minister in Dhaka looks like from the air. Protesters began marching towards the Prime Minister's residence. They were armed. There was a promise of violence. That's how close the protesters actually got to the residence. Just 3 hours later, by 1 p.m., Sheikh Hasina was briefed by a senior police officer. Half hour later, her sister and she were convinced by the authorities to leave. Her son convinced her to leave over a call from the United States where he lives. He said, now is the time to get out. While all this was happening, remember, the protesters were getting nearer and nearer. She had to be pulled out by about 220, taken in a car to the Tejgaon helipad by car. There was one secret exit that they actually took in order to avoid all the huge crowds that were there. And that's where these images, which went viral later, came to the fore. That helicopter of the Bangladesh army picked up Sheikh Hasina and flew her to the Kurimtola air base, which is on the outskirts of Dhaka city. 2:30 p.m., an SOS call was made, a flight plan was charted with Delhi, which very quickly processed the request under fear of Sheikh Hasina's life. A C-130J aircraft was waiting for her, and as we then know, it flew her straight to the Hindon Air Base, 15 kilometers from Dhaka. Shivani Sharma is live with us from Delhi. Junaid Khan is a senior journalist who's live with us from Dhaka. Shivani, I want to quickly come to you first. No clarity just yet on what's going to happen with Sheikh Hasina. You know, preparations have obviously been made for a long-term stay, as well as, keeping all options open in case something opens up for her in Europe or the United Kingdom or elsewhere. What are your sources telling you? Because most of her team have apparently left India now.
Shiv, it's day 4 for Sheikh Hasina in India, and a little while back from now, the MEA spokesperson was holding a press conference, and he says that it would not be appropriate for him to disclose the plans as of now. But what we understand from the inputs that our sources have been giving us, that she might soon leave the Indian soil. She's already into talks with certain nations. Some nations have also approved, but the process is taking time because this is not a normal escape that she wants. She needs a political asylum, so the formalities are to be met. So she might leave the Indian soil in a few days, but Indian government is cooperating with her. They are helping her to decide and to take her own time to go from here. So that is why they are all prepared for a long as well as for a short visit, for a short stay here in India. But yes, the MEA is not disclosing much as of now, and the people who were accompanying her have already started leaving India.
Okay, so it's basically a lack of clarity over precisely when Sheikh Hasina will be able to make that exit from India and for how long she's actually going to stay here. Junaid, coming to you, it's a big day in Bangladesh. The interim government will be sworn in, in a few hours from now. In Dhaka, Mohammad Yunus is there. He has addressed students as well. What is the situation on the ground right now in Dhaka? Both Mohammad Yunus and other leading authorities in the country have called for calm. They've called for peace. What is the latest that you can share with us, Junaid?
Okay, after Mr. Yunus landed in Shahjalan International Airport, after that the people they are watching him on TV and his speech. He already did a press conference in the airport, and after that the whole nation is watching, trying to watch his oath, which will take place in 8:30. All the preparation has been taken, and this is the time actually when people are very conscious about the situation. And after 5th August, there is no such big incident actually reported on minority or the Awami League leaders. But although in the village areas, they are trying to capture their business, and their houses being attacked. After the oath of Mr. Yunus, Bangladeshi people are hoping that all the violence will go down, and this government will take initiative for minorities and the Awami League leaders and all people actually. And Mr. Yunus also said he don't want any violence. If there is a violence, he will think he is not needed.
Is there going to be some kind of a crackdown on the violence immediately, Junaid? Do you see some kind of major crackdown?
I didn't get your question, actually.
Will there be some kind of major police action against those indulging in violence in Dhaka and elsewhere?
Okay, actually, there is no police right till now because police has been ordered to join their workplace by tonight. But all the thanas are being equipped by police. They are in police lines. They are in outside of this thana police or police station. This is actually predicted that Mr. Yunus will take action against the violations and also the political corruption.
Okay, Junaid Khan, thank you very much for getting us that live report from Dhaka, which we're going to look at very, very closely. Shivani also will continue to report minute by minute what's happening with Sheikh Hasina and how the government is navigating this very, very tricky, very challenging situation. Sheikh Hasina, 4 days and counting on Indian soil.